Capital punishment in the New Testament. The Romans gave the Jews many opportunities to administer their own legal affairs. The highest Jewish court in the time when the New Testament was written was the Sanhedrin. There were 70 members of the Sanhedrin, plus the high priest. The high priest presided over the court sessions. The sessions were held in a special room in the temple. The Sanhedrin could sentence a person to death, but could not carry out the death penalty without permission from the Roman authorities. The law of Moses included several ways to kill bad people. This included killing them by throwing stones at them until they were dead. Even before the New Testament was written, there were formal procedures for the execution of a convict by throwing stones at him until he died. Those who had been witnesses against that person would throw or drop large stones on him so that he would die. In Luke chapter 4, we read that Jesus returned to Nazareth, the town where he had grown up. There in the synagogue, Jesus stood up and read from the scroll that the prophet Isaiah had written many years before. But what Jesus said after he finished reading made the people who heard him very angry. So they took Jesus up to a high cliff to throw him over and kill him. Crucifixion was a severe form of punishment in which the accused criminal was nailed or tied to a tree or post and left to hang there until he died. Crucifixion was known and used in many cultures long before the New Testament was written. The crucifixion often took place on a cross made of 2 pieces of wood. Often, the vertical stake was permanently fixed in the ground. Sometimes, a tree stump was used. The victim was made to carry the horizontal cross piece to the place of his crucifixion. There, he was laid down on the crosspiece and was either tied or nailed to it by driving nails through his wrists. The crosspiece was then lifted up and attached to the vertical post. Then the victim's feet were nailed to the vertical post. This hanging position made it extremely difficult to breathe and for the victim's heart to pump blood. Death came slowly to those who were crucified. After a few days, they usually died from suffocation. The victim could partially relieve strain on his upper body by pushing up with his legs. But if his legs were broken, death came more quickly. Jewish sources tell us that some women in Jerusalem tried to bring relief to crucifixion victims. They would give the dying man a drugged drink, which would dull his senses and lessen his pain.